such a change from the style of fishing you're normally known for, and I'm kind of impressed that you're doing so well under some unusual conditions.
Well, we learned real quick this week that it's a different day every time you come out, and yesterday I caught some big ones shallow on a spinnerbait in about 2 feet of water, and the water was starting to come up in the grass, and hopefully I won't have to go mess with those too much. I kind of want to save those. I feel like 8 pounds will be enough, and I think I can get that doing what I'm doing. So.
Thank you, Steve, Daniel. It's two guys doing pretty good out there today, and we'll keep watching them as the morning wears along. Two guys from Florida come up here in tough conditions and really do real good.
I'm kind of impressed with Brian there. You know, that's 4.5 pounds this early in the morning under some pretty tough fishing conditions. That could go a long way.
Usually this lake, I know where I can go make 5 casts, and I've got a limit, which that's pretty lazy fishing when you're doing that. But it's a lot of fun when you know where you can go get a limit, and then you got all day to fish for a good one. But the lake has changed a little bit, and it's not really like that anymore. You got to work for most of your fish now, like all other lakes. There's a fish.
Well, I think that all of our fishermen are going to have to work pretty hard today. We've got such tough conditions as we've been alluding to, and doggone, it's not just rain and bad weather, but it's water height, up and down. That makes it really tough.
Well, it's David Fritz here making up some ground on Steve Daniel in a big way. That's one of the biggest fish we've seen during the course of this tournament.
Right when I got to the boat, I just stopped my handle for just a second. I mean, he slammed it.
Area like this is it's easier to catch all your fish. They don't replenish up here. These fish live up here, and they just don't replenish back like they do out on the lake. But I believe there's enough fish in here to win this tournament. Just a matter of them biting. I lost him. Can you believe that? He thumped it too. Got him that time. Thank you. Decent little keeper. That's number 4. I always count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It makes it easier for me on my limit.
Go out now on the lake, talk to Andy Morgan, who we've seen plenty of here on the FLW Tour. He's had a great FLW Tour this year. And our leader in the qualifying on the amateur side, Todd Lee, who's from Jasper, Alabama. And Andy,
what are you going to do to get into that top 5 today? What's your plan?
Well, we're just throwing spinnerbait on some windy points right now on some grass lines. We're just going to keep chunking and winding. The bites are slow, just like they have been the last 2 days. And we're just going to keep throwing at them.
Yeah, I understand you guys ran into some schooling fish, and I guess most of them were white bass, which don't count. But boy, you're lucky if you can get a few blacks in there.
A few largemouth mixed in, but not very many. If we don't catch some here in the next little bit, we're going to go back and try to pick up a couple more smaller fish out of those.
You know, you get one more bite or another, and you might be able to make it tomorrow. But I think if you have any problems, it is going to relate to the fact that your Notre Dame ball cap is not on today.
Yeah, I need some luck. I may need that hat.
Well, Todd Lee, you got a hat to help him out with there, or is he just going to have to go with what he's working with now?
Well, I guess just have to stick with what's going on. We caught quite a few fish early on in the week, and with some different people, but to be honest with you, I've been turning around this lake so much, I don't know exactly where we've been, so.
But still, I guess you're hopeful that big things can happen for you.
That's exactly right. You just keep a hook wet and just do the best you can and hope a 4 or 5 pounder runs out here and grabs this thing in a minute, and all of a sudden the blood starts pumping and everything's a different ball game.
Andy Morgan and Todd Lee, our top 2 qualifiers from days 1 and 2 out there on Lake Sinclair.
And we're going to have an amateur champion today now. Remember, we're just trying to eliminate 5 of the pros for the finals tomorrow, but boy, we'll know who the champion amateur is right here on the spot.
Well, Andy Morgan just keeps grinding along here. He's trying very hard to make it into the top 5 pros. And get closer to a limit.
Todd with still just 1 fish.
Here's Steve Daniels. By the sound of it, he's still fishing right next to the highway there. Highway 441 right through the middle of Georgia.
He's caught several fish off that riprap. I believe he's already culling, as a matter of fact. Throwing that crankbait around the rock riprap, and also throwing it out against the bridge piers as well. And I mentioned a little earlier that David Fritz was in that same area. He is. He's probably inside of Steve right at this moment.
Just on the other side of the highway there, as a matter of fact.
Not necessarily fishing the riprap, though. I think David has got a little, well, he's got several sunken islands and a few brush piles of fish.
Thank you, Lord. Whew, it's been a long, dry spell. I bet I've through there 50 times.
I was watching you.
You got to be persistent. That's the name of the game. Man.
That'll help.
Yeah, that'll help a little.
Good keeper there.
Good, solid keeper.
David Fritz and Alvin Shaw virtually within sight of our tent here, hanging in there pretty good, and got approximately 7 to 8 pounds. And David, if you can hear us, tell us what you're expecting to happen in the next crucial hour here.
I feel pretty good with what I got now. I don't, you know, it may be a little short, I don't know, but it's better than having 2 or 3 fish.
Do you feel like you're saving some fish? Have you got a different plan for tomorrow, or would you go back and just start the same thing over again?
I hadn't saved any, I can tell you that.
What impact does the water moving or not moving have?
You know, when the water moves, you're going to catch more fish. There's no doubt about that. But the thing is, I think they're moving a little bit of water, but actually they're not pulling the water. The lake's actually filling up. And, you know, that doesn't do you a lot of good. So, you know, that's part of the strategy in this fishing is knowing what to do when the water's doing certain things, but the fish ain't cooperating with me today.
In other words, he was saying that the water's spilling in on this lake, which pushes it a little bit, but is not as big of an impact on it as if on this end they're pulling it out.
Water out of it.
That makes a big difference.
Fishing's just tough.
Yeah. Been tough on.
We're probably better off just staying somewhere and fishing, but it's just I can't hardly do it. There's another one. There he is.
All right, that makes you get rid of that little one now. They're suspended.
That fish hit me way out here, and my bait was actually probably 4 foot from being on the bottom.
Well, the fishing is over here on day number 3 of the FLW Tour Championship. You heard that man say it right there, David Fritz. You got to be persistent to fish yourself all the way to the end. And he's fished himself into the top 5 on the pro side. But today is the day on which we crown an amateur champion. Mark Malden, you saw there, with 2 pounds, 13 ounces, took the early lead in the weigh-in here. Fishing with Steve Daniels, that's Brian Kelly Roberts from Cocoa, Florida.